One veteran's message to Donald Trump about the price he and others have paid for that Purple Heart has now also gone viral.
On the 19th of August 2004, I was awarded a Purple Heart. And my brother who lost half an arm that day, he was awarded a Purple Heart. And my brother who lost an eye that day, he was awarded a Purple Heart. And my brother who was killed that day, he was awarded a Purple Heart. Purple Hearts equal bad days, Donald, and nobody with one ever wanted it.
With me now is the man who made that video, Will Fisher, an Iraq War veteran, executive director of the Union Veterans Council. Sir, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me,
As
Cameron.
the daughter of a man who also was awarded the Purple Heart, I think certainly your sentiment is something that hit me when you said it on that video, like so many others. So for people who do not know the criteria for receiving a Purple Heart, service members must be injured or killed in direct, indirect combat operations or terror attacks, qualifying injuries from things bullets, shrapnel, mines, chemical, biological, nuclear agents, concussions from enemy-generated explosions. The list goes on here. As you pointed out, it is not a good day. So when you heard Donald Trump say, I always wanted one of these in the easy way, could you believe what you were hearing?
Cameron, I couldn't. And I'll tell you, before yesterday, 99% of the people in my life had no idea that I was ever awarded a Purple Heart. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, as I said in my video, on the 19th of August 2004, I was awarded a Purple Heart. But I had my brothers who lost their lives, lost an eye, lost their arm. And it is a reminder of a very bad day. And when I heard that, I was just so dumbfounded. And what Donald Trump seems to not understand at all is that there is no one who has ever been awarded a Purple Heart that was glad to get it or wanted it.
Back in July, the Military Times conducted a voluntary, what they call a confidential survey among troops, reservists, National Guard personnel. This again was early July, and Donald Trump was up 49%. Hillary Clinton had 20% in that poll. Given the situation with the cons, given this remark about the Purple Heart and the New York Times report on Donald Trump's deferment and the moving story regarding why he did not serve this country, and even his definition of sacrifice, do you believe he will continue to have an appeal to some of those serving right now in the uniform?
I do not. It is my absolute belief, Cameron, that Donald Trump will be the first Republican in modern political history to not carry the veteran vote on Election Day. We mentioned his attacks on Gold Star families. Can we just let that sink in for a little bit? Cameron, where are we in our politics where we have politicians, in this case, the Republican Party's nominee for President of the United States, attacking Gold Star families? People who have already sacrificed more than most can even begin to comprehend. And yet this and his comments about the Purple Heart are only chapters in Donald Trump's chronicles of disregard and attacks on military families, whether it's advocating privatizing the VA, doing away with the GI Bill, or, like you mentioned, his constant banging the drum for more war, wanting to send more young American women and men into combat. Not his kids, right? I mean, Eric, Donnie Jr. and Ivanka aren't going to be putting on a flak jacket anytime soon. But if Donald Trump is elected president, the folks watching at home, their kids very well may be. And this coming from someone who avoided service, who dodged service, when it was their time to serve with the help of multiple deferments, and having a rich dad.
Dakota, I want to put this in here. Dakota Meyer, the Medal of Honor recipient, Sarah Palin's son-in-law, said if Donald Trump wants to be the commander-in-chief, he needs to act like one. And that can't start until he apologizes to the cons. At this point, is an apology what's necessary? Is that enough from Donald Trump on these issues, the Purple Heart and the cons and the growing list, as it relates to the military?
Well, I do think that an apology is appropriate. I don't believe an apology is possible, though. Donald Trump has repeatedly shown throughout this entire campaign that he is remarkably thin-skinned and incapable of seeing anything that he says or does as being in the wrong. So I would be dumbfounded if Donald Trump actually showed enough integrity to apologize to the Gold Star families and the veterans that he has attacked and insulted throughout his presidential campaign.
Will, thank you so much for your service and honoring us to be on this hour. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Coming up, the